Hi, welcome back to Straight Talk. I just wanted to let people know that sometimes the lights go out because of a bad storm, and that is exactly what happened Tuesday night. I think that was Tuesday night. No, today is Tuesday, right? So that was Saturday night. My apologies for that. But hopefully we'll be able to hang on and to do the show in completion. And let's get it started. So the first thing that I want to do, which is what I was trying to do the last time I was on, is read the letter that I had sent to President Trump. And it deals with the attack that happened on the African Union headquarters. I think that was in Addis Ababa. So here we go. It says, warning, dear Mr. President, it's not often that I write to you and pray that all is well with your health and family, and that shalom may be upon you as this world changes, right? With that being said, Mr. President, my soul and my ancestors are writing the word to you in hopes of having you to see them and to act on them as if your life and the lives of every citizen in the United States of America and world are depending on them, and they are. According to the vid, there was a recent attack made on the AU headquarters in Africa that is tantamount to a declaration of war on the new United States of Africa, a continent that has fed the growth of political and economic power of the West, global wealth, and control. Mr. President, it is apparent and has been a fact that Europe and the USA, the West, as they are better known, can never stand on their own 2 feet without the aid and resources of Black people and Africa. The old saying, if you can't beat them, join them, is of the most importance as this is being written, and any delay in helping rather than covertly or overtly trying to delay the inevitable present and future dominance of the global South rise to dominate the planet with Afro gold. It's totally asinine and bespeaks of America and Europe hegemony, I like to say hegemony, ending instead of rising with Africa. On February 26, 2026, the One African Government will commence, and all of hell will spill out upon the world for all the harm done to it over the century by Europe and America that will be and must be considered vengeance. Believe me or not, Mr. President, or President Trump, USA is in no way economically or politically to be considered a sovereign nation. Although I read that what Baron Trump wrote about our supposed ending of the elite banking heist of the 1870s, and that you may well be the 19th president of the United States of America after Ulysses S. Grant, I am finding hard to believe with all of what you are doing is contrary to this. Africa, Mr. President, has all the right to do with its resources and has the right to defend itself, what it wants to do. And since the USA runs on 80% from the sources of Africa, it would behoove you to deal fairly and squarely with Mama Africa and pay the fair price for what's needed. Mr. President, Africa doesn't need USA nor Europe, but USA and Europe need Mama Africa. At this time in history, America is facing and will face a devastating event or events that will forever change the physical and geopolitical sphere influence she has held for the last 200 plus years. Mr. President, it is now time for America to pay for the sins of her past and to walk the holier path of redemption for her captives, the true house of Judah, the African American. This fact is no longer hidden, but it is intentionally lied about and covered up for fear of punishment. That punishment, Mr. Mr. President, cannot be stopped. It can only be endured by the people who refuse to accept their fate as the footstool of the real house of Judah is pronounced and made manifest to the world. President Trump, there are three things that can't be hidden forever: the sun, the moon, and the truth. The so-called white people of America and around the world have been duped to believe that they are the arbiters of civilization, when in fact it was black people who civilized white people three times. Once in Egypt, then in Rome, and now during and after black people ruled Europe and the world for almost 1,000 years after Spain. It is apparent that you people are woefully incapable of not only creating a civilization which you have not created one or none. It's very apparent you people don't have the mental capacity nor intelligence to keep it going. Now, let me refrain. Let me stop here and catch up to this. A lot of people think that white people created America. That's not true. To make a long story short, it was King James, who was black, along with his sons and grandsons, King George and Charles, and their black wives that created 13 colonies. Okay? The only thing you people are good at is running things into the ground and say, oops. $38 trillion in debt. How the fuck you get $38 trillion in debt? Because you're fucking up. You done fucked up. And now you want to run the soon-to-be greatest Ponzi scheme on the world by dumping all of that debt onto the stablecoin market on misinformed investors. Excuse me. Oh boy. Dude, that will cause America to catch a cold, but the rest of the world gets pneumonia. It will be an economic disaster and suicide for USA's integrity and will cause it to lose economic credibility. African President Trump will become the new queen of the economic world, and Mama Africa will not be playing. With 1.4 billion people on the continent, another 6.5 billion worldwide will force the West, white people, into poverty. For now, the West will have to and must pay an Afro gold, and the West doesn't have it. The global South, which are the brown-skinned people that include Russia, will be the new UN, IMF, and World Bank. As a side note, hold on. Hold on. As a side note, it was Africa that got Europe and the USA out of economic trouble after World War II, and that of the lies told about Mama Africa will be placed on the West back where it belongs. President Trump, the death certificate has been signed, sealed, and delivered by the righteous hand of GD. And GD is a Jewish term for God. We don't ever write out God's name. It cannot be undone. Justice will be visited upon the West for all of its evil deeds. Even until this day, you people still believe you will go unscathed. The sins of the father and mother must be and will be delivered upon their children for all of eternity. The old saying, you reap what you sow, is in full effect. President Trump, there will be catastrophes that will befall America. Major earthquakes, the size of which you as president must attend to instead of the fake Israel by Netanyahu and the illegal gang. The Madrid fault in 1812, Mr. President, did 1 million square miles of damage, and there are right now 15 nuclear power plants built right on top of it, or they are very close to it. Just imagine that happening today. It will shake the mental and tear the moral fabric of America to its core. Also, let's not forget the Andreas fault in California that did 15,000 square miles of damage and the eruption of the Yellowstone National Park in Seattle, Washington, Mount St. Helens were damn near bringing it into the USA. The only thing that will save it is our true American spirit that I believe in wholeheartedly. Lastly, Mr. President, do the right thing and take care of our nation's poor, vets, infrastructure, etc., and stop giving money to a fake-ass nation, a fake-ass Jew that don't need no damn money. The illegal state of Israel that don't deserve a dime and pay reparation to the real Jews of the world, the true house of Judah, who are the African Americans that reside within America. Let true liberty reign president, or face the devastating end of your presidency as a joke and the inevitable destruction of your family's name, Trump. The choice is yours. Do the right thing. Allow the blessings that will come from it fill upon you in the nation of the United States of America, which stand for what it was founded upon. We hold thee true. Let freedom reign. So this is what I wrote to President Trump. I doubt it. He got it. You know what I mean? Or he read about it. He got so much on his plate. But at least I, wrote it and sent it to him. So hopefully something will come from that. But outside of that, in dealing with the so-called fake Jews who are converts, because my ancestor converted the Palestinian people, and you know about the Khazarian. The fake Jews are of Khazarian ancestry. They have no tie to the land of Israel. There was a trust of which that land was put into over 1,000 years ago by my Moorish ancestor. And that trust is still alive and well today. There's a Moorish gate there as a remembrance of that wall and the land that was placed within the wall. So no matter what the fuck Netanyahu says, what these fake ass wannabe white Palestinian Jews say, they cannot get around that. It is locked in. It is dead in the water. They can't do a motherfucking thing about it. Done. So the only thing that can be done and must be done and will be done and is being done is just to bring it out. I don't give a fuck how many times they bomb the motherfucker, how much money they get in. They're only making us richer. Shit. It's like Hawaii. Hawaii is not a United States state. It was a black country, a black kingdom with a king and queen that were black. Just because America linked it to the United States of America does not give them the right to say you can't have it back. You must give it back, along with all of the other states west of the Appalachian Mountains, except for the 13 states, which were the actual real states of America. America only consists of 13 states, which were the original 13 colonies. So even if you're looking at Hawaii, where I went to college or university, you will find that all the money that went into fixing it up, dressing it up, making it better than what it was, doesn't matter. The native Hawaiian population, which is now and forever will be black, must be given back. So it's the same deal. They can talk all this shit that we're the Jews and you can't say that. Motherfucker. You just don't know. But let me tell you this, no lie live forever. The truth shall make itself apparent. And all of these want-to-be blessings that these fake-ass Jews been getting fraudulently will be upon the back, pocket, shoulders, and head of the house of Judah, of the African American. Because to be honest with you, that is exactly what happened. The Jews or the real Jews or the black Jews, and I hate saying black Jews because they make it look like there are other kinds of people. There's only one. So when you say Jews, you're talking about black people, all right? But for the sake of argument, I'm going to relinquish that for a minute and say that the Jews of Portugal, Spain, and Marie came to West Africa and were transported to the Caribbean, where we are from, the United States. I'm sorry. The Dominican Republic and Haiti and the Caribbean and North America, Central America and South America and Canada. Those people, those Jews, were black. Plain and simple. So, let me see where we are at. So what I wanted to do was to focus in first on the XRP and the importance of knowing where we are as a nation and where we are and where we cannot afford to be anymore because of the reset that's going to be happening. So a lot of people have been getting slammed, I guess, economically speaking. So if you and you're gonna see it here in the video. So if you had, let's say, $1,000 in your account or $15,000 in your account, and the reset happened, and you don't have any hard assets or any important assets outside of the currency that your country is dealing in, like the dollar, like the yen, like the yuan, like the peso here in the Dominican Republic, you're fucked. So once that reset happens, it'll be a 1 for 10. So for every $10 you have, let's just make it real easy, $1,000. You get $1 for every $10 you get. That's the reset. Isn't that a bitch? The $1,000 you had come down to $100 based upon the new currency. So I would have highly advised you, for those who are listening now and those who will be listening later, buy gold, buy silver, buy real estate. And I'm not really into real estate. That's not my thing. But be prepared, because it's better to be prepared than not prepared. And this is some serious shit. A lot of people have suffered holding on and thinking that the government is in their favor and working for. They're not working for you, broke motherfucker. Now, I'm just being honest. Anybody that knows me know that I do not play on this show. The government, the U.S. government, don't give a fuck about poor people. Don't give a fuck about the middle class. You need to get up on your feet, stay on your feet, stay aware of what is going on, or you're going to get fucked in the end. And this reset, you would hope that you get a 1 for 1, but I doubt it. It might be at the very least 3 for 1. You get 1 for 3, so you get one new currency or dollar for every 3 you got. Oh, that's the best thing. So hold on, let me bring up the share screen, and we'll go and get right into what this is all about, and you'll be able to see for yourself. Now, the thing is for you to really be aware. A lot of people, this is what's fucking with me. A lot of people don't fucking, how do you not fucking know this shit? XRP, Bitcoin, I'm not going to say that I knew about Bitcoin long before it came out in 2008, I think, or 2009. But that wasn't my thing, and I never heard it until recently, about maybe 5 years ago. But I sure the hell heard about XRP and what that means, because what it's all about is utility. The transaction rate for XRP is like 1 or 2 seconds. To do a financial transfer with Bitcoin is about 10, 12 minutes. Now, which one do you think is going to be used? That's the big, excuse me, that's the big, excuse me, that's the big difference. The utility of XRP. It has no value outside of being able to transfer assets quickly. And with that being stated, and I'm not too big of a fan of BlackRock, I think a lot of shit that is going to be going on, that is going on, that is unfair. They're doing a lot of inside trading from my perspective and my opinion. And there ain't no motherfucking way that a person can go from $5 million in assets in the late 1980s to $12 trillion today. No, ain't no fucking way not unless you're doing some inside trading, right? So with that being said, the truth comes out in the end, and they go to jail and they get their money taken from them. I hope, but they were in on a lot of people being killed during the 2008 real estate bubble. A lot of people lost a lot of money, lost their homes. They were committing suicide, so they're responsible for that shit. But money talk, bullshit walk. And if you can pay people all to be the fuck quiet, much kudos to you, I guess. I'm not one for that. I like being fair with people. I'm gonna sneeze again. And just with people, but that's my ethos. That's my way of doing business. So with that being said, let me go to the first one, and then it's 20 minutes long, and I'll be right back.
Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, grabbing your phone, and checking your bank account. You have $10,000 in there. You breathe easy. But then you scroll down and see a notification from your bank. Important. Currency conversion update. You click it. Your $10,000 is now worth $100. No, you weren't hacked. No, the bank didn't steal from you. Your country just did something called a currency reset. And here is the thing that should absolutely terrify you. 7 countries have done this in just the last 20 years. 7. That's not ancient history. That's not some dusty textbook example from the Great Depression. This is happening right now in our lifetime to people just like you and me. So today, we're going to dive deep into one of the most catastrophic financial events that can happen to ordinary people. We're going to look at real stories from Argentina, Zimbabwe, and Venezuela. We're going to talk about what a digital dollar could mean for your money. And most importantly, we're going to discuss how you can protect yourself if this ever happens in your country. Because here's the truth. If you think this can't happen to you, you're making the same mistake. We're starting over. They introduce a new currency and exchange the old one at a specific rate. Sometimes it's 1 to 1. Sometimes it's 1,000 old dollars for $1 new dollar. Sometimes it's worse. Now, why would a government do this? Usually, it's because of hyperinflation. That's when prices spiral out of control so fast that your money becomes essentially worthless. Imagine going to the grocery store, and a loaf of bread costs $1,000 today, but next week it costs $10,000. That's hyperinflation. When things get that bad, governments panic, and their solution? Hit the reset button. But here rests what they do and tell you on the news. When they hit that reset button, it's not just the currency that changes. It's your savings, your future, your security. Think about it. You spent years building up your savings account. You worked overtime. You skipped vacations. You saved for your kids' education, for retirement, for that house you've been dreaming about. And then, overnight, the government decides that all those numbers in your account mean something completely different. The value doesn't just shift, it evaporates. And the worst part? There's usually nothing you can do about it. By the time they announce it, it's already too late. The banks freeze. The ATMs shut down. And you're left holding paper that's worth less than the paper it's printed on. So let's look at how this actually played out in the real world. Let me tell you about Maria. Maria was a school teacher in Buenos Aires, Argentina. In December 2001, she had about $15,000 in her bank account. Not a fortune, but enough. Enough to feel secure. Enough to know that if something went wrong, she'd be okay. Then came December 1st, 2001. The Argentine government announced what they called El Corralito, the little fence. Cute name, right? Except there was nothing cute about it. Overnight, they froze all bank accounts. You couldn't withdraw more than 250 pesos a week. That's about $250 at the time. Maria's $15,000? Locked, trapped behind that little fence. But it gets worse. The government also announced a currency devaluation. The peso, which had been pegged 1 to 1 with the US dollar, was suddenly worth much, much less. By 2002, you needed 3 pesos to buy what 1 peso bought before. Eventually, it got even worse. Maria's $15,000 effectively became $5,000 in purchasing power. Just like that, and she couldn't even access it. People rioted in the streets. Banks were attacked. The president resigned. Middle-class families who had saved for decades suddenly found themselves in poverty. Now, Argentina's situation was complicated. There were debt defaults, IMF negotiations, corruption, all sorts of factors. But for Maria and millions like her, the lesson was simple and brutal. Your money in the bank is only as stable as your government's promise. And governments break promises. Argentina has actually gone through multiple currency crises. They've redenominated their currency several times. In 1983, they created the peso argentino. In 1985, the austral. In 1992, the peso. Each time, zeros were lopped off. Each time, savings were destroyed. The people who survived these resets, they weren't the ones who trusted the banks. They were the ones who saw it coming and moved their wealth into hard assets, real estate, foreign currency, gold. But Argentina isn't even the worst example. Let me paint you a picture. It's 2008. You're in Zimbabwe. You go to the ATM and withdraw the maximum amount, 100 billion Zimbabwe dollars. Sounds like you're rich, right? Wrong. That $100 billion is enough to buy 3 eggs. Yes, 3 eggs. This is what happened in Zimbabwe under Robert Mugabe's government. They printed money so recklessly that the currency became literally worthless. At the peak of Zimbabwe's hyperinflation, November 2008, prices were doubling every day. Not every month, not every week, every single day. People would get paid in the morning and sprint to the store because by afternoon, their salary would be worth half as much. There are photos from this era that look like something out of a dystopian movie. People carrying wheelbarrows full of cash just to buy bread. Children using bricks of $100 trillion bills as toys because they were worthless. The Zimbabwe government eventually printed a $100 trillion bill. That's not a typo. 100 trillion. It's the highest denomination currency ever officially printed. And you know what it could buy? A bus ticket. Eventually, in 2009, Zimbabwe completely abandoned its own currency. They started using foreign currencies instead US dollars, South African rand, British pounds. They basically admitted that their money was so broken, they had to give up entirely. But here's the thing. Before it got that bad, there were warning signs. Inflation started slowly. The government said they had it under control. They blamed sanctions, they blamed drought, they blamed foreign interference. But they kept printing money, and the people who believed them, they lost everything. Your bank account, your life savings, your pension, all of it became worthless overnight. And it didn't matter if you had $1 million Zimbabwe dollars or $1 billion. 0 times any number is still 0. The only people who survived financially were those who converted their money into real assets or foreign currency early. And let me be clear, the government tried to stop them. They imposed currency controls. They made it illegal to hold foreign currency. They tried to trap everyone into sinking ship. But some people jumped anyway. Now you might be thinking, okay, but Zimbabwe was an extreme case. That was corruption and mismanagement on a ridiculous scale. That couldn't happen in a more developed country, right? Wrong. Let me introduce you to Venezuela. 25 years ago, Venezuela was one of the wealthiest countries in Latin America. They had massive oil reserves, the largest in the world. They had a growing middle class. People had savings, jobs, stability. Today, over 7 million Venezuelans have fled the country. That's almost a quarter of the entire population. Those who stayed faced shortages of food, medicine, electricity, and their money worthless. Venezuela has gone through multiple currency resets. In 2008, they removed 3 zeros from the bolivar. In 2018, they removed 5 more zeros and renamed it the Bolivar Soberano, Sovereign Bolivar. In 2021, they removed another 6 zeros. Let me make that clear. If you had 1 million bolivars in 2008, and you kept it in bolivars through all these resets, by 2021 you'd have ... 1 bolivar. You lost literally everything. And here's what makes Venezuela so chilling. This happened in the 21st century, in a country with modern banking, internet, smartphones. This isn't some third world country with straw huts. This is a nation that had skyscrapers, universities, hospitals. There are stories of doctors making $5 a month, lawyers working as Uber drivers just to afford food, middle-class families selling their furniture piece by piece just to survive. And the government? They kept saying everything was fine. They blamed the US. They blamed capitalism. They blamed anyone but themselves. The people who protected themselves saw the signs early. They moved money out of the country. They bought hard assets. They bought cryptocurrency, yes. Venezuela became one of the biggest adopters of Bitcoin specifically because people were desperately trying to preserve their wealth. But most people, they trusted that it wouldn't get that bad. They believed the government. They waited, and they lost everything. So I mentioned at the beginning that 7 countries have done this in the last 20 years. We've covered 3. Let me quickly run through some others. Turkey redenominated in 2005, removing 6 zeros from the lira. North Korea did a surprise currency reform in 2009 that wiped out people's savings overnight. Belarus redenominated in 2016, removing 4 zeros. South Sudan has had ongoing currency crises since its independence. And there are other countries that have faced severe devaluation, even if they didn't do a full redenomination. Brazil, Russia, Ukraine, the list goes on. Here's why this matters. This isn't rare. This isn't some freak occurrence. This is a pattern. And every single time there's a common thread. The government says everything is fine until suddenly it's not. Every single time the people who suffer most are the ordinary citizens who kept their savings in the bank, who trusted the system, who played by the rules. The wealthy? They're fine. They have assets abroad. They have property, gold, foreign investments. They can write it out or leave entirely. But the middle class, they get destroyed. And that brings us to something that should make everyone nervous. The digital dollar. Now, the United States Federal Reserve and many other central banks around the world are exploring something called central bank digital currencies,
Pay attention.
CBDCs. The pitch sounds great, right? Digital money, fast transactions, financial inclusion, efficiency. But let's talk about what a CBDC really means. A central bank digital currency would essentially be money that exists only digitally, controlled directly by the central bank. Every transaction could be tracked. Every dollar could be programmed with rules. Think about that for a second. What if the government could set an expiration date on your money? Spend it by next month or it disappears. What if they could decide what you're allowed to buy? Sorry, you've reached your limit on gas this week. What if they could freeze your account instantly without a court order? Sound far-fetched? China already has a digital yuan and they've used it to control behavior. They've literally programmed money to only work in certain areas or for certain purchases. Now here's where this connects to currency resets. A digital currency makes a reset incredibly easy. With physical cash, you need to print new bills, collect old ones, coordinate banks. It's messy and complicated. But with digital currency, it's just changing numbers in a database. Imagine this scenario. The US has massive debt, which it does. Inflation is out of control, which many people argue it has been. The government decides to introduce a new digital dollar to stabilize the economy. They announce that everyone's bank accounts will be converted at a rate of, say, 10 old dollars to 1 new dollar. They call it modernization. They say it's necessary. And just like that, your savings are cut by 90%. Impossible? Go ask Maria in Argentina. Go ask the people in Zimbabwe. Go ask Venezuelans who lost everything. They all thought it was impossible too. Now, I'm not saying this will definitely happen. I'm not a fortune teller. But I am saying the infrastructure that would make it easy is being built right now. And history shows us that when governments have the power to reset currency, eventually they use it. Alright, enough doom and gloom. Let's talk solutions. Because here's the good news. You're not helpless. There are concrete steps you can take to protect your wealth from a potential currency reset. This is stuff that people in Argentina, Zimbabwe, and Venezuela wish they'd done sooner. First, diversify your currency holdings. Don't keep all your money in one currency. If you're American, consider holding some euros, British pounds, Swiss francs, or Japanese yen. Yes, there are restrictions and tax implications, but having some currency diversity means you're not completely exposed if one currency collapses. Second, hard assets. This is the big one. Throughout history, when currencies collapse, hard assets hold value. What are hard assets? Real estate, land and property have intrinsic value. People always need places to live and work. Yes, Property values can drop, but real estate tends to preserve more wealth than cash during a currency crisis. Gold and silver. For thousands of years, precious metals have been a store of value. Governments can print money, but they can't print gold. Physical gold and silver that you can hold in your hand, not paper certificates, not ETFs, but actual physical metal. Commodities. Things people actually need. In Venezuela, people who owned farmland or had stockpiles of basic goods survived much better than those with cash. Third, skills and knowledge. This might sound weird, but hear me out. Your skills can't be inflated away. If you're a plumber, an electrician, a doctor, a mechanic, you have value that transcends currency. During currency crises, barter systems often emerge. The person who can fix things, grow things, or heal people has power. Fourth, cryptocurrency. Now this one's controversial, and I'm not giving financial advice here. But it's worth noting that many people in Venezuela, Argentina, and other countries with currency crises have used Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to preserve wealth. Crypto has its own risks, volatility, regulation, technology issues. But it's decentralized, which means no single government can just turn it off or reset it. It's worth learning about at minimum. Fifth, keep some physical cash. If a currency reset happens, there's often a period where banks are closed and digital systems are down. Having physical cash on hand, enough for a few weeks of expenses, can be a lifeline. Yes, that cash might lose value, but it gives you options while everyone else is panicking. Sixth, stay informed and watch for warning signs. Currency resets don't happen in a vacuum. There are warning signs. Rapid inflation, government debt spiraling, central bank printing massive amounts of money, currency controls being implemented, capital flight, wealthy people moving money out, political instability. If you see these signs, it's time to act, not hope things get better. 7. Have a plan. This is crucial. If things go south, what's your plan? Do you have important documents ready? Do you have assets that are portable? Do you have contacts or family abroad? Do you have skills that would be valuable anywhere? I'm not saying become a doomsday prepper living in a bunker. I'm saying have a plan B, because the people who survived these crises best weren't the ones who had the most money. They were the ones who had the most options. The system isn't designed to protect you. Banks, governments, financial institutions, they all talk about protecting depositors and financial stability. But when push comes to shove, when a real crisis hits, you're on your own. In every currency reset we've discussed, the government's priority was the government. The bank's priority was the banks. The central bank's priority was the central bank. You were expected to take the loss for the good of the economy. And here's the really uncomfortable part. The people who did well during these crises, they weren't lucky. They were prepared. They saw the signs. They acted when everyone else was in denial. There's a quote often attributed to Hemingway. How did you go bankrupt? 2 ways. Gradually, then suddenly. That's how currency crises work. Things get gradually worse, a little more inflation, a little more debt, a few warning signs, but most people ignore the gradual part. They only pay attention when things go suddenly wrong, and by then it's too late.
Want to know what would make you 8 times more likely to pass your prop trading challenge?
So let's bring this home. What happens to your bank account during a currency reset? The simple answer, it loses value. Sometimes catastrophically. But the deeper answer is this. What happens to your bank account depends on what you do before the reset happens. Maria in Argentina lost most of her savings because she trusted the system. People in Zimbabwe ended up with worthless paper. Venezuelans watched their entire middle class evaporate. But in each of these countries, there were also people who prepared, people who diversified, people who saw the signs and acted. Here's what I want you to take away from this video. 1. Currency resets are not ancient history. They're happening right now, in our lifetime. 2. Your money in the bank is not as safe as you think. It's a digital number backed by a government promise. And history shows that when governments face pressure, they break promises. 3. You have power. You can diversify. You can invest in hard assets. You can learn skills. You can prepare. 4. The time to act is before the crisis, not during it. Look, I'm not trying to scare you. Well, maybe a little. But only because fear can be a useful motivator. The people who lost everything in these currency resets weren't stupid. They just believed it couldn't happen to them. Don't make that mistake. Start small. Buy a little gold. Learn about cryptocurrency. Develop valuable skills. Have a plan. Because here's the thing. If I'm wrong and nothing bad ever happens, great. You've diversified your assets, learned new things, and become more financially resilient. You haven't lost anything. But if I'm right, and someday you wake up to that notification from your bank saying there's a currency conversion update, you'll be one of the people who's prepared. You'll be one of the people who survives. And you'll be very glad you watched this video. If this video opened your eyes, do me a favor. Smash that like button. Subscribe and hit the notification bell because we're going to keep diving into financial topics that actually matter, the stuff they do and teach you in school. The stuff the banks don't want you to know. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you think a currency reset could happen in your country? What are you doing to protect yourself? I read every comment and I want to hear your thoughts.
All right, now we are on the road. Now, I've been talking about this for a long time, quite a bit, about the euro, about the dollar being the reserve currency of the world, which is not, it is not anymore. Now, I don't know, I've heard, hold on, let me make it better. I do it one better. How much gold, much gold, USA backing dollar. Now, this is what is coming up on Google. I guess it's Google. The gold reserve smashed 1 trillion mark. Okay, let's see. The US dollar is not backed by, ain't that a bitch? In the modern day, the country transitioned to fiat currency system in 1701, meaning the dollar's value is based on trust in the US government rather than a physical amount of gold. However, the US government holds a significant reserve of gold primarily stored at Fort Knox. But this gold does not directly back the dollar. So there you have it. Our dollar has no backing other than the bullet and missiles and bombs. So if you're trying to do this, that, and the other against the dollar, here comes America. He's knocking on your door. What the fuck are you doing? I'm gonna blow your brains out. If you gotta do anything other than use the dollar. But this is what is going on, guys. And I don't want to go into too much of a spiel, but starting, and it has already been started. It is just that the West has been sleeping for the past 150 years or so, I would say. And it is similar to the hare and the rabbit and the turtle story. And so here we go. The turtle is Africa, or the global south, and the West, or white people countries. I don't like saying that, but here we go. It's the rabbit. So over the years, hold on. My wife gave me some tea. So over the years, white people have been thinking that they can do what they want to do when they want to do it, how they want to do it, and intimidate people with the CIA, FBI, the DEA, NSA, the whole thing. The race is over. The turtle won. The global south won. Mama Africa is awake now. Mama Africa is standing on her 2 feet, looking around after what the hell has been going on. Starting on February 26, 2026, the United States of Africa is in full effect. It has Afro gold, with 1.5 billion people on the planet, and 60% of that under 20 years of age. Not only that, you had, what is his name? His last name is Chikambuso. Maxwell Chikambuso has a power source that is unlimited. It is lighting America. From what I'm understanding, Elon put in $1 billion to be able to use it in his cards and what have you. China paid out $1 trillion in effect to use it. And so there's a lot of things that's going on that will make Mama Africa and the global South the premier heavyweights, economic and political heavyweights of the world. Bye-bye the West or white. We're done. France is too heavily in debt. Germany too heavily in debt. All of Europe too heavily in debt. America too heavily in debt. I don't give a damn if they try to pull that shit off and dump it onto the stable coin market. It's not worth it. And as I just read to you, there's no go back in the dollar. Now, according to the Fort Knox, there is some gold there, but it's not backed by the dollar. And among other things, constantly, gold and silver and platinum and what do they call it? The mineral wealth of Africa is being discovered. Hell, they found a whole mountain full of gold. So to recite what Gaddafi said, if you kill me, you'll be opening the door to all of hell for all of eternity. With the Muslim Brotherhood on the move worldwide, it's over. White folks are scared shitless and converting to Islam. That's not going to help. That's not going to help. You're still going to get your ass whooped. Because to be honest, the world don't give a fuck about the white boys anymore. They pull back the curtain and have seen this bitch of a motherfucking little boy has been running and masquerading like a man, blowing smoke up everybody's asses. It's the Wizard of Oz effect. Now there's nothing. The world knows who we are, and you're the most hated motherfuckers on the planet. The most hated, the most beloved people in man and woman is the black man and woman. We are the father and mother of all of humanity. Period. There's no more of this, I'm white and I say so. It never was in the beginning. It had no bearing, it had no weight, it had no nothing. So with all of that being said, this is the most preeminent upheaval, economically speaking, because to be honest with you, Africa doesn't need to fire out one motherfucking bullet. It can do what Angola did to Portugal after Portugal was running it for 400 years, somewhere around, I don't know. And ended up taking over Portugal. The bullets were economic dollars. Took it right on over. And this is exactly what's going to happen to Europe when more and more billionaires and trillionaires come out of Africa and the America and the global South and black people worldwide. This is it. I don't know what to tell you other than pull up your panties, girls, and pull up your drawers, boys, because it's over. And to be honest with you, there is an immense amount of, how would I put that, events, catastrophic events that's going to happen in America. You have the new Madrid fault that runs from the Midwest, Chicago, all the way down to Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Texas. That is going to explode. In 1860, it did 1 million square miles of damage. Now it has 15 nuclear power plants all along that line. We're going to have a nuclear winter. Not only that, there have been nuclear fallouts worse than Japan and America. I think it's close to New York. I don't remember exactly where, but people are drinking, unbeknownst to them, is it called irradiated? Not irradiated. nuclear saturated water, or however you want to put it. It's there. But the news is not going to tell you. When Fukushima water reached the California coastline, before then, the acceptable amount of radiation was, let's just say, for 10. Now it's 100. All of a sudden, the American government, under the, I don't know what department that would be, said, no, don't worry about it. I mean, you can eat fish with 100 radiation level. Fuck you. You cannot trust the government, man. Look at what happened in 2021 all up to this day. Oh, take the vaccine. Take the vaccine. Oh yeah, you're good. You're good. 150 fucking million people that died worldwide, and about I don't know how many. I'm not going to tell you that line. For that story, but it's devastating. There were people who were pissing and shitting on each other, shitting on themselves, and not having any control over their bodily function, shaking, dying instantly on the same day they took it, within seconds or within minutes of them taking it, and the whole nine. So, at all. So, like in the video, it said, don't fucking trust the government. They're fine. You know, they get their jollies off. They get their raises. But it just amazes me that the general public, the middle class, is going to be the one who's going to be hurting. Going to be the one who's going to be taking that $38 trillion debt and swallowing it and say, good. So I don't know. I do know, but what I want you to know is that you must be prepared today. Don't wait till tomorrow, next week, or next year. Buy gold and silver. That is the best investment you can make. And I would highly suggest that. Quick, fast, and in a hurry that you can do that and get it over with and save yourself. Because if you are depending on the United States government to save you, you fucked, buddy. You fucked. So we're going to go on to the next video and we're going to deal with fiat currency. Fiat currency versus gold. The core difference explained. I'll be right back.
Or nothing at all. The truth is, the very nature of money changed fundamentally in 1971, and understanding that shift is key to understanding everything about today's economy. Welcome to Historic Economics, where today we unlock the core difference between fiat currency and gold-backed money. For most of modern history, much of the world operated on what was known as the gold standard. Imagine this: every paper dollar, every pound, every franc was essentially a receipt. It was a promise for a specific amount of physical gold held securely in a government's vault. In theory, you could walk into a bank and exchange your paper for the real thing. This created what many called sound money. Why? Because governments couldn't just print money whenever they felt like it. Their currency supply was directly limited by how much gold they actually possessed. Think about that for a second. The amount of new money entering the system was tied to the slow, difficult process of mining gold from the earth. This physical limitation had a profound effect. It led to incredible stability in prices over long periods. Sure, there were ups and downs, but the kind of persistent year-after-year inflation we see today was much, much rarer. Why? Because the money itself was scarce, just like the gold it represented. People had faith in the currency because they knew it had tangible, intrinsic value. It wasn't just a piece of paper. It was a claim on a real, valuable, and universally recognized asset. This system anchored the global economy, providing a bedrock of stability that influenced everything from international trade to personal savings. The value of your savings wasn't just a number on a screen. It was tied to a physical reality. But everything changed. Fast forward to today. The money in your wallet, the numbers in your bank account, it's fiat currency. The word fiat is Latin for it shall be, or let it be done. It's a powerful name because it means the money has value purely because the government decrees it. There's no gold, no silver, no basket of commodities backing it up, nothing physical. So, What gives it value? It's a fascinating question. Its value is based entirely on trust. It's a shared social agreement. You have faith that the government will accept it for taxes, and more importantly, you have faith that other people will accept it from you in exchange for goods and services. It's a network effect of belief. This shift from a gold-backed system to a fiat system gives central banks and governments immense flexibility and power. Is the economy struggling in a recession? They can, in effect, create new money out of thin air to inject into the financial system, hoping to stimulate spending and investment. This is often called quantitative easing. Is the economy running too hot with prices rising too quickly? They can try to remove money from the system or raise interest rates to cool down inflation. This flexibility is the main argument in favor of a fiat system. It allows a government to actively manage its economy, responding to crises in real time, rather than being constrained by its physical gold reserves. But this incredible power comes with a critical, ever-present risk: the temptation to create too much money. When a government can create currency at will, there's always a political incentive to spend more than you take in through taxes. This can lead to a steady increase in the money supply that outpaces the growth of actual goods and services in the economy. The result? Inflation. Each individual dollar, pound, or euro becomes worth a little bit less. Your purchasing power slowly erodes over time. What you could buy with $100 10 years ago, you can't buy today. That's the inherent risk of a system based on trust rather than a physical anchor. So let's boil it down. What is the core, fundamental difference? Gold-backed money has intrinsic value. Its worth is tied to a real, scarce, physical asset. Fiat money, on the other hand, has relative value. Its worth is based entirely on trust in the issuing authority and the stability of the system. Let's use an analogy. A gold-backed currency is like owning the deed to a house. The deed is a piece of paper, but it represents a real, physical, valuable asset. A fiat currency is more like a ticket to a concert. The ticket itself is just paper, but it's valuable as long as you trust the band will show up and play. If the band cancels, or if everyone loses faith they'll perform, the ticket becomes worthless. The gold standard represented a system of stability, but it was also rigid. It acted as a financial anchor, keeping things steady but also limiting a government's ability to maneuver during economic emergencies. It was difficult to quickly expand the money supply to fight off a deep recession, for example. The fiat system, which we live in today, is a system of immense flexibility, but also potential instability. It's like a financial engine that can be turbocharged to power through tough times, but it also runs the constant risk of overheating and breaking down. It's a trade-off, and it's a big one. One system prioritizes long-term stability and the preservation of value, while the other prioritizes short-term flexibility and economic management. Understanding this historic shift and this fundamental trade-off between a rigid, stable anchor and a flexible, powerful engine is arguably the most important concept in modern economic history. It's the story of how our entire modern financial world was born, and it explains so much about the headlines we read every single day, from inflation reports to interest rate decisions. It's not just abstract theory. It shapes the value of your savings, the cost of your groceries, and the health of the global economy. Are you curious about the dramatic political events and economic pressures that led President Nixon to finally sever the dollar's last link to gold in 1971? It's a fascinating story of international intrigue and financial crisis. To learn the full story of why the world left the gold standard, make sure to watch our in-depth documentary right here on the channel. We go deep into the history and the consequences. Thank you so much for joining us on Historic Economics. If you
All right, now you heard it. So now the ball is in your court. You're either going to get jiggy with it and save your own ass instead of waiting for somebody else to do it, and take the necessary steps to ensure your credibility, to ensure your financial wealth and health, to ensure your financial standing in the future. Buy gold and or silver. You can't afford gold, buy silver. That is the only way you can save your ass from this devastating reset that we're going to be having. Now, you heard of Gestara? I don't know. I mean, I hope and I pray that it happens because of the fact that accordingly, Trump went around the world and gathered up all of the gold that were taken out of America corporation and defunct the corporation, and now we have a republic. That's what his son was writing about. That the toppling of the global elite, and so now what used to be the case that England was still the landlord of America, but now we're supposed to be independent and a sovereign nation outside of that and under the Republic of America, not the United States of America Corporation. So, with all of that being said, uh, I'm not going to say I want to say it's a crapshoot, but I'm not going to say that. But there's a lot of uh, uh, indicators that is pointing in the direction of, excuse me, sorry, I want to sneeze, but I can't sneeze. There you go. Pointing in that direction in which Trump had done some presidential, what do they call it, executive orders, and cleaning house. I I'm looking at all of the evidence, and I'm thinking about everything, and I bought gold, and I bought XRP, and also I bought because XRP cannot run without motor, which would be Flare, FLARE, or FLR at the ticker. So think about that. Flare going for about 2 cents a coin, and XRP is going for about $2.50. Now I got into, thank heaven for my sister. Damn, I can't even think of her name. Not my real sister. Uh, Damn, I can't think of her name. She be on Brother Maurice's show. Uh, but you know who you are. Uh, and I got in at 45, 50 cents somewhere around there. Less than a week, it went up to like $3. So I'm good. I'm not going to say how much I got. I got over 100,000, but and then I got a million of players, so we're good. You know what I mean? And then some silver and stuff like that. But I got maybe 10. I'm going to say about 10% of cash on hand, and it's not in the bank. It's with Charles Schwab, so I don't think that's going to be counting for too much of anything that the government can go in and take it and do what they're going to do with it. But they do it, no problem. But anyways, you got to be prepared, guys. Got to be prepared. So what we're going to be looking at now is Puerto Rico trench, a mega quake of 8 and tsunami is imminent, according to the study that was being done and made. So now we're here on the Dominican island that is halfway, not halfway, that is shared 70-30. Is that the north? I don't know if that's the north. The east, wait, the east side of the island is, if I'm not mistaken, no, don't quote me on it. But the east side of the island is Haiti, and the rest of it on the west side of the island is all of the Dominican Republic. We're on the northern coast, and if hold on, better. Let's see. Hold on. So I can give you a better deal as to what's going on. So, here we go. So, give you a better idea. So Luperon is not too far away from Puerto Plata where we are at. Here, over here, you have Puerto Rico. It's saying that the trench that runs like 3,000, oh my God, how do you, is that 3,000 miles deep? Somewhere around there. It's set and ready to explode, right? So here we have the northern part or the western part of the Dominican Republic, which is cut off from here. Then you get Haiti, and you get the Dominican Republic. So they're predicting a major earthquake of 8 that's going to be hitting the island off in the water. So as you can see, you got Higüey, you got La Romana, Boca de Yuma, San Pedro de Macorís, El Ceibo, Miche, Sabana, De La Mar, Santo Domingo. A lot of people know about Santo Domingo. But here you have, what's the name of that? Punta Cana. Billions of dollars have been placed in fixing that whole area. It's going to get devastated and destroyed. So as the earthquake happens, you can see where, I don't even, it's like here where we are, right? Puerto Plata. Puerto Plata to Higüey, or Punta Cana is like 5 or 6 hours away by car. So if it hits, it's not a if, when it hits, when it happened, the earthquake, it will not only destroy a lot of this territory up into Santo Domingo, Bonao, La Vega, Rincon, Agua, Bani. It's going to be devastating. And then you got not only the earthquake happening, you have the tsunami, a lot, hundreds of billions of gallons of water, if not billions of gallons of water going into this particular area. And that's going to be devastating. So you not only have the earthquake tearing it all apart here, but you also have all of that water. Hundreds of billions of gallons of water. Now, as far as we are concerned, there's a mountain, where is it? Like from here, that goes down around, Benica. I think that the mountain runs from here, or from somewhere. Jamaica, Benica. Estaba hablando de la temblor que van a ocurrir pronto, según de gente. Tú tienes Puerto Rico que está aquí. Yo no, es de este, oeste, norte o costa de la República Dominicana, aquí. Pues si tiene de Punta Cana aquí, sí.
Hasta el norte.
Sí, ok, pero de la costa norte de aquí. Ahí tú tienes Puerto Rico. Después, lo que yo estoy escuchando, la primera cosa es un temblor de 8.0. Wait, espérate, I'm going to explain it in English. En cuando se va a pasar, todo eso se van a destruirse este temblor. Después, tú tienes billones o cientos billones de galones, o yo no sé cómo tú medir, de agua del mar, del Caribe sí. Todo eso destruido por el temblor, y después tú tienes de agua, billones de, yo no sé cómo tú medir, galones, no galones, millones de agua, yo no sé, billones de agua.
Mililitros.
Ajá. Y Lo que yo quiero preguntar, estamos aquí en Puerto Plata, ¿verdad? Tiene el, pero ¿dónde está la montaña? De aquí, por, siguiendo esa línea que está indicado aquí o no?
¿Cuál montaña?
Porque si se pasa, no se pasa, pero cuando se pasa, no es una posible que se van a pasar este temblor y tsunami. Lo que estoy pensando en mi mente, y espero que la montaña que está separando de Puerto Plata, de esa área, toda esa área, sigue de Lupa, ahí. Esa va a llegar más, ¿verdad? La montaña, espérate, la montaña van a salvarlo, sí. Porque está alto y lejos de aquí. Can everybody see the, there you call it, that's not a microscope. Shit, I don't forget what it is. See this, so it's from here all the way over Santo sí, se va de aquí, yo no sé dónde se comienza, de aquí cubriendo Santiago, Mao, ok, pero subiendo Santiago por abajo de Sabaneta, sí, de la montaña, sí. Se comienza de algún, yo creo que por los datos ahí, tú veas, ¿sí o no? Pero está lejos, está alto de la montaña. Lo que yo estoy diciendo, eso va a salvarnos de daños. ¿Tú me entiendes? ¿Tú me entiendes? Ajá. ¿Sí o no? Ah, ok. Ya. So, estoy consultándome con él. I am consulting or talking with my wife, right? So all of this area is going to be taken over by water, and I mean, if not hundreds of billions of dollars destroyed, a lot of lives lost, at the very least, 20 to 30 billion dollars of damage, and tens of thousands of lives lost. So let's get out of here and go right into the video, and I'll be right back.
Lies hidden in one of the most unstable regions on the planet. Approximately 27,200 feet, 8,300 meters below the ocean surface, lies the Puerto Rico Trench, an abyss that represents not only the deepest point in the Atlantic, but also a geological time bomb of terrifying proportions. This oceanic depression, known as Milwaukee Deep at its most extreme point, has witnessed for centuries the violent encounter between two colossal tectonic plates. The North American plate and the Caribbean plate meet in this region in a destructive and constant embrace, accumulating energy silently and relentlessly.
I don't know.
For hundreds of years, these continental masses have pressed against each other, creating a reservoir of tension that defies human comprehension. The oblique plates, combined with subduction forces, generates a unique tectonic scenario on the planet, where the Earth's crust literally bends under unimaginable pressures. Scientists monitoring this region warn of a frightening reality. The energy accumulated in this location has the potential to trigger a mega earthquake, capable of redesigning entire coastlines in a matter of minutes. The geological complexity of the trench reveals a system of active faults that extend for hundreds of miles, hundreds of kilometers, each contributing to the growing accumulation of seismic tension.
So you can see from the arrow here, you got 2 meters, 6 feet deep, 6,000 feet deep, 12,000 feet deep, 18,000 feet deep. No, I'm sorry, 9,000 feet deep because it's 3 feet to a meter. Then 12 and 15, 18, 21,000 feet. Okay, and then 8,000 feet at 24,000 feet. Oh, no, the feet is right here, 29,000. Oh, no, yeah, that's the other one. Can't see it from there. So you got 29,000 feet. So they're looking at all of these areas that can kind of collide and force an earthquake. And then the the tsunami.
Geophysical investigations confirm that this oblique subduction zone presents unique characteristics that significantly amplify seismic risks. The geological history of the region tells a narrative of cyclical destruction.
Can anybody guess what this stuff is and what I'm going to use it for? This is mulin that I picked out of...
Where devastating earthquakes and catastrophic tsunamis have alternated throughout the centuries. Historical records document events that leveled entire cities, waves that engulfed ports, and disasters that struck populations without any prior warning. Analysis of oceanic sediments and coastal rock formations reveals evidence of seismic disturbances that irreversibly shaped Caribbean geography. The most alarming aspect of this situation lies in the fact that the most catastrophic event may still be to come. The absence of a large magnitude rupture for more than 200 years suggests that tectonic forces are approaching a critical point of release. This prolonged pause in major seismic activity does not represent tranquility, but rather the harbinger of a geological storm of epic proportions that could redefine the future of millions of people in the Caribbean region. The current tectonic behavior of the Puerto Rico Trench presents characteristics that keep the scientific community in a state of permanent alert. Unlike other subduction zones around the world, this region experiences a complex process where the North American plate plunges beneath the Caribbean plate at an oblique angle, creating dynamics of simultaneous lateral sliding. This combined movement results in an extremely unstable tension pattern.
Now, what I don't understand is this white line. What is that? That's a safe zone. Because if it is, man, that's right around where Puerto Plata is right here. If you look at that place, if you look at the arrow that I got here. So this is Puerto Plata. So I'm kind of open and wondering if the white line is like, ain't nothing going to happen. But we don't know. But let's continue.
Where multiple active faults intersect in dangerous geological configurations. The most recent seismic investigations reveal an intricate network of geological structures, extending from the abyssal depths to adjacent continental platforms. Data collected by submersibles and oceanic monitoring equipment show clear evidence of continuous crustal deformation, with vertical and horizontal displacements indicating progressive accumulation of elastic energy. The submarine topography of the region presents geological scars that narrate the history of previous seismic ruptures, each leaving its permanent mark on the ocean floor. The increasing frequency of minor tremors in the region serves as a worrying indicator of the growing instability of the system. These smaller magnitude seismic events, while not causing significant damage, represent episodes of partial tension release that frequently precede large-scale ruptures. The spatial and temporal distribution pattern of these smaller earthquakes suggests that different segments of the main fault are simultaneously approaching their mechanical resistance limits. Comparative analysis with other similar subduction zones around the globe reveals that the Puerto Rico Trench presents geological characteristics that favor the occurrence of exceptional magnitude seismic events. The relatively young age of the oceanic rocks in subduction, combined with the convergence velocity of the plates, creates ideal conditions for generating earthquakes that can reach magnitudes greater than 8 on the moment magnitude scale. This possibility represents a risk scenario that transcends national borders and affects the entire Western Caribbean region. Continuous monitoring through advanced seismic networks has documented activity patterns that corroborate theoretical predictions about the future behavior of the trench. Crustal deformation data obtained by global positioning systems show slow but consistent movements that indicate progressive accumulation of tectonic tension. The scientific evidence, combined with sophisticated computational models, points to a scenario where the probability of a mega-earthquake occurrence increases significantly over time. Historical records of seismic activity in the region paint a dramatic picture of events that shaped human history in the Caribbean. The earthquake of 1787, known among seismic historians as the Borinquen event, remains a landmark in the documentation of natural catastrophes in the region. With an estimated magnitude between 6.9 and possibly 8.2, this earthquake struck northern Puerto Rico, generating tsunami waves that devastated coastal communities and left geomorphological scars still visible in the contemporary landscape. The following century brought with it a sequence of seismic events that confirmed the destructive potential of the trench. In 1867, a magnitude 7.2 earthquake triggered a devastating tsunami that caused massive loss of life in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Historical descriptions of this event relate waves that penetrated miles inland, destroying entire villages and permanently altering the coastal geography of the region. This episode serves as a somber reminder of the destructive power that oceanic waters can exert when mobilized by tectonic forces. The beginning of the 20th century witnessed the San Fermin earthquake in 1918, a magnitude 7.2 event that generated a particularly destructive tsunami on the western coast of Puerto Rico. This disaster resulted in the loss of more than 100 lives and caused millions of dollars in material damage, establishing itself as one of the deadliest seismic events recorded in the island's history. The tsunami waves reached heights that surpassed all previous records, penetrating deep into the island's interior and devastating communities that considered themselves safe from oceanic threats. Decades later, in 1943, another significant earthquake of magnitude 7.7 struck the region near the Mona Canyon. Despite its considerable power, the timing and specific location of this event limited human losses, resulting only in minor injuries and limited structural damage. However, a small tsunami was generated, reminding the local population that even apparently smaller events can trigger unpredictable oceanic consequences. This historical sequence of earthquakes and tsunamis clearly demonstrates the cyclical pattern of destructive activity that characterizes the region. If you are fascinated by these hidden forces of nature and wish to continue learning about the most dangerous seismic phenomena on the planet, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to not miss the upcoming content about the most extraordinary geological mysteries of Earth. Each video we produce is the result of rigorous scientific research and aims to make geological science accessible to all who are interested in the secrets that our planet hides in its depths. Leave your comment below telling us which aspect of the Puerto Rico Trench caught your attention most, and share this video with people who are also interested in science and natural phenomena. Your active participation is fundamental so that we can continue producing quality educational content about the geological events that shape our world. Don't forget to like this video if it expanded your knowledge about seismic risks and the tectonic forces that operate constantly beneath our feet.
All right, you heard it. So I want to take a little break, not break, but a little time to get into what this is all about. And hold on, let me look it up. The hell? Hold on. Well, anyways, hold on. Let me. I know I've seen it right here. What the hell? Okay, but anyway, let me look for Ring of Fire. Now, you just seen this, and we talked about it. Here is we haven't talked about the Ring of Fire. We're going to talk about it right now. We're talking about the devastation that is going to happen. Not if it will happen, but it is going to happen. Which one is the best one here? I'm going to go with this one. With the Caribbean Ocean devastation that is going to happen throughout the Caribbean, in particular Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Cuba, and the whole gang. So this is what is happening now. This has kicked off what they call the Ring of Fire. And it is rumbling and trembling and doing everything. If this is happening now, it will, and it is going to trigger Mount Garibaldi, Mount St. Helens, all these, the one out there in California, San Andreas, right? And then you have the Madrid fault. You have all of these things that are going on in America. And as I was trying to say before, that the San Andreas, the the Madrid fault runs from Chicago all the way down to Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Georgia and Florida. That did 1,000,000 square miles of damage. Now, if you're looking at my scope here, what do you call that in English? 1,000,000 square miles of damage. Just imagine from here on down to Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida and Texas. That from here going down and stretching all the way over to here and stretching all the way over to here. That's 1,000,000 square miles. And you have 15 deadly nuclear power plants sitting right on the fault line, but not too far from it. So we're going to have a nuclear winter, to whatever degree that may be, in America happen. And Trump, dumbass, is going all the way around the world. Instead of taking care of fucking America, he's taking care of the bitch-ass Israel that don't deserve a motherfucking dime of our money. Yeah, we didn't kill nobody. So what the fuck am I money being used to take care of some lazy motherfucker that don't want to work? $3 to $6 billion a year that these motherfuckers in Israel is collecting per capita. I think that's about $120,000. Free money. And a lot of these motherfuckers, every last one of these bitches ain't a real Jew. And a lot of these people are converting and going to Israel to do what? To collect the money. But as you can see, you have the ring of fire that is setting it off right as we speak. And like I said, you have Mount St. Helens there in Seattle, and the national park. What's its name? You know what I'm talking about. And it's going to be one, guys. It is going to destroy America for how and how we see her now. It's still going to be in existence, but we're going to have to really buckle down and stop the bullshit. I believe in America. I know America. I love America, and I love the world we live in. But, you know, there's too much bullshit that is going on. And Trump is fucking up. Trump, if you're listening to this, take care of our vets, our retired elderly, our sick, our homeless, and fuck Israel. I'm serious with a goddamn heart attack about that shit. Because you will be forced to look at America and take care of America. America first. Isn't that what you said? Make America great again? Bitch, please, you ain't doing shit. Not that I've seen, Mr. President. And if you don't, it's going to be the end of America as we know her. So let me get out of here. So we are rounding it down. We're not too far away from where we need to be. So right now we're going to go on to Africa shock the world with a new currency to replace the dollar. This is what I've been covering for a while. There's a YouTube channel called Supreme African Breaking News, SABN. Now, if you don't know anything about that, I would highly advise that you subscribe to that channel on YouTube. But now it's called Supreme African News because SABN, Supreme African Breaking News, was canceled, so to speak. Not so to speak, was taken down by YouTube. For whatever reason, I don't know. It should not have been. But we're going to go on and listen to this. Now, what I am predicting is that instead of the dollar, the American dollar being the reserve currency with no gold behind the dollar, only military might, that the Afro gold currency will be the primary currency of the global south of brown skinned countries, BRICS, with Russia. We know that Russia don't have brown skin, but they're not playing. That Mama Africa has waken up. She is standing on her feet. And if you don't have gold, and 80% of America runs on the resources of Africa, and if you want to deal with Africa, you're going to have gold. You have to convert what you got, not fiat paper currency, but actual value behind that currency, America and Europe, and you ain't got it. Gold. And this is where the economic flip happens, and that Africa and the global south takes over. I'll be right back.
For Eastern and Southern Africa, or COMSA, has launched a digital payment system. It would allow the 21 member nations of the regional economic bloc to settle cross-border payments in local currencies, eliminating the need to convert them into hard currencies like the American dollar for international trade.
The world is changing, and it's happening faster than anyone expected. For decades, the U.S. dollar ruled everything: oil, trade, and global finance. But now, something historic is happening. Africa, the continent once controlled by Western economies, is rising, united, and powerful. And what's happening right now has the potential to change the entire global order. In boardrooms across Washington, London, and Brussels, alarm bells are ringing. Because for the first time, African nations are rejecting the dollar and building something new, something that could shake the foundations of Western dominance. From Lagos to Johannesburg, Addis Ababa to Nairobi, African finance ministers are quietly signing deals to trade in local currencies, backed by gold, minerals, and regional strength.
How to chat with senior women online. Join this platform with 40-plus users online. Discover a warm and supportive environment and get it.
The new financial systems, AFCFTA, PAPSS, and BRICS Plus, are not just ideas. They're real, and they are rewriting the rules of money itself. Imagine this: African countries trading billions without touching a single US dollar. African gold, oil, and rare earth minerals priced in African currencies. And the world's biggest powers, from the US to the EU, scrambling to understand how they lost control. This isn't fiction. It's happening now. And that's why global headlines are filled with one phrase that the West fears most: de-dollarization. When the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, first discussed a new reserve currency, few took it seriously. But today, the momentum has shifted. Over 40 nations, including Nigeria, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Kenya, are lining up to join. And behind closed doors, Africa is being positioned as the engine of this new world economy. Why? Because Africa holds the raw materials the modern world runs on: cobalt for batteries, gold for reserves, lithium for tech, and oil for energy. Every resource the world needs for the next century lies beneath African soil. And this time, Africa isn't selling cheap. The message from African leaders is clear: no more being used, no more unfair deals, no more dependency. A new era has begun, one built on African unity, resource control, and economic sovereignty. And what's terrifying for the West is that it's working. So stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll see how Africa's quiet financial revolution has the power to end dollar dominance, reshape trade, and create a world where Africa sets the terms. This is the story the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. This is how Africa replaced the dollar, and why the world may never be the same again. For nearly 80 years, the U.S. dollar has been the foundation of the global economy. It was the world's reserve currency, used in over 85% of all international trade. From oil in Saudi Arabia to cobalt in Congo, every transaction began and ended with the dollar. But that system wasn't built on fairness. It was built on control. When countries traded in dollars, they had to rely on U.S. banks, U.S. interest rates, and U.S. policies. It gave Washington an invisible hand in nearly every economy. African nations suffered most. Their currencies lost value. What if we built a system where we control our own money? The answer came through BRICS, a group of nations tired of Western financial dominance. Led by China, Russia, India, Brazil, and South Africa, the alliance proposed a new path, trading through local currencies and building a shared financial network independent of the dollar. And Africa, rich, ambitious, and ready, became the heart of that plan. From Nigeria's new Naira-based oil contracts to Kenya's gold-backed trade systems and Ghana's lithium exports, the change is already visible. The Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, PAPSS, launched under AFCFTA, now allows African countries to trade directly without converting to U.S. dollars.
Don't ask me why I define gold.
At the 2024 BRICS Summit in Johannesburg, something historic happened. African nations didn't just attend as observers, they arrived as future power players. Ethiopia, Nigeria, and Egypt formally applied to join BRICS+, bringing Africa closer to the core of a new economic order. The BRICS alliance had long discussed de-dollarization, but without Africa, it was incomplete. Because Africa holds the world's most strategic resources, the raw materials that define the future: cobalt for batteries, lithium for electric cars, gold for financial security, oil for energy, and rare earth metals for global technology. Together, these are worth over $10 trillion in untapped value. The U.S. and EU know this. It's why they fought so hard to maintain influence in Africa. But BRICS saw something the West didn't: a future where Africa is not exploited, but empowered. China invested heavily in African infrastructure. India built digital partnerships. Russia signed defense and energy pacts. And Brazil offered agricultural technology. It wasn't aid, it was alliance. Mutual benefit, not dependency. And now, with the rise of the BRICS payment network, and talk of a gold-backed digital currency.
Hold on.
Africa's minerals have a new purpose: to back real value, not speculative dollars. Countries like Ghana and Zimbabwe have already begun pegging their currencies to gold. South Africa is working on blockchain trade platforms that bypass the SWIFT system entirely. Nigeria and Kenya are developing systems that connect their central banks directly to the BRICS interbank network. This is Africa's golden ticket, not given, but earned. By aligning with BRICS, Africa is transforming from a supplier of raw materials into a shareholder of global wealth. Western corporations are panicking. Tech companies in the U.S. depend on African cobalt and rare earths. Energy companies depend on African oil and gas. And now, African nations are saying, you can still buy, but not in dollars. Imagine paying for cobalt in Naira, or for oil in Rand, or for gold in Bear. That's the future BRICS is building. And it terrifies Washington and Brussels because it means the dollar no longer controls the gateway to the world's resources. For the first time in modern history, Africa has the leverage, and it's using it wisely. As BRICS expands, a new global order is forming, and Africa is right at the center. The African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, connects 54 nations into one massive economic bloc, 1.5 billion people, $3.4 trillion in GDP. If Africa were one country, it would already be the 5th largest economy in the world. Now, combine that with the BRICS network, and Africa's position becomes unstoppable. Across the continent, new financial frameworks are rising. A Pan-African central bank being discussed in Addis Ababa. A digital currency initiative connecting major economies like Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa. Local stock exchanges merging to create continental financial power. This isn't just theory, it's reality. In 2025, trade between African countries hit record highs, driven by PAPSS, which allows settlements in local currencies instantly. Meanwhile, the U.S. $S share in African trade has fallen below 50% for the first time in history. The global consequences are enormous. If Africa and BRICS nations continue this trajectory, they could collectively control more than half of the world's trade in under 2 decades. The West knows this. That's why leaders from Washington, London, and Paris are suddenly re-engaging Africa. But this time, Africa isn't negotiating from weakness. As Burkina Faso's Ibrahim Traoré said recently, Africa has nothing to lose but its chains, and everything to gain by uniting. That quote now defines an era. African youth are inspired. African economies are diversifying, and African currencies are gaining strength. The message is clear. Africa no longer needs to follow. It's leading. The shift has already begun. Every deal in local currency. Every mine nationalized for fair trade. Every new alliance signed under BRICS Plus. It's all part of a silent revolution. For centuries, Africa's story was written by others. But now, Africa is holding the pen. The US dollar will not disappear overnight. But its dominance is cracking, not because of war, but because of wisdom. Because Africa has chosen to rise on its own terms. The West may see this as a threat, but in truth, it's balance. A global economy that works for everyone, not just a few. From the dusty gold fields of Mali to the cobalt mines of Congo. From the tech corridors of Nairobi to the oil hubs of Lagos. A new rhythm is echoing across the continent. It says, Africa is awake. It says, we are ready. It says, the future is ours. And as the world watches, one truth becomes clear. This is not just Africa replacing the dollar. This is Africa reclaiming its destiny.
Welcome to African Spotlight 24, your premier source for news and current affairs from across the continent.
All right, you heard it. So I want to make sure that I'm making this perfectly plain. Fuck all white folks. Y'all done fucked up, man. Y'all done went to sleep, motherfuckers. And the turtle, black folk, brown skin folk, we done crossed the line, motherfucker. We won. There's no way you're gonna come back and win shit. Nothing. But a quick kick in the ass. That's it. I forget who said it, but the only thing the black man or the white man is an ass whooping. And you are getting it. Political, economic, spiritual, and physical. Make no doubt about it. Make no bones about it. Just as Angola did with Portugal. Money talk, bullshit walk. You can call me a nigga all day long, but if I can affect your motherfucking economics, you're done. And this is what is happening. This is what Gaddafi said. That one day, Africa will rise and the global south will rise and take over the West or white folk. Because y'all don't know what the fuck you're doing. How in the fuck do you get France into $5 trillion worth of debt? You done fucked up. Europe, all you motherfuckers. America, how do you get into trouble 38 trillion? You motherfucker, because you done fucked up. You don't know what you're doing. $28 trillion came up missing when the so-called plane hit the Pentagon. Where did that money go? Motherfucker. There ain't no goddamn plane hit the Pentagon. There was no motherfucking plane hitting those buildings. I rest my motherfucking case. So now, what is happening is that balance is coming back into existence. Ma'at. The only people who know about Ma'at, the only people who can do it are the black man and woman. You white boys and girls, you can sit your fucking asses down now and shut the fuck up. Because now it's over and done with. You will become the footstool to the house of Jacob. We created banking, black folk did. We created checking and all of that. Not you, pale skins. You have not one civilization that you can point to that you created. The only thing you've done was to create havoc and destruction upon the world. You brought four things to the table of humanity. Death, destruction, disease, and despair. That's it. And all of this hate that you white boys and white girls have spilled upon the world. Buckle up, buttercup, because all that shit is coming. All that shit is coming back to you. We ain't forgot. When the black folks say, "I bet," that means we just laying back in the cut because we know you're gonna fuck up at some point, and we're gonna duck and swing and hit you in that motherfucking gut and jaw with that uppercut. We're not dumb. We're the smartest people on the fucking planet. You guys are just one step up from the monkey. Now, this is just not me this is Harvard. The best scientists in China and throughout Europe and Japan are saying this. And I speak about that on one of my previous shows. Check that out. So, no, just as Blumenbach and Meisner were propagating that lie that the black man is one step up from the monkey, the actual fact is that you guys are. The intelligent quotient, the DNA, whatever the fuck it is, of a monkey, 4 of a gorilla, 5, and a white people 6. Black people scored a 9 out of a 10. I rest my motherfucking case. I don't need to talk no more. So please check out my book too. It's called The White Man's Burden of Lies and Deceit. This is the second one, called The White Man's Burden of Lies and Deceit, Understanding White Supremacy and What That Is. And my first book, The White Man's Burden of Lies and Deceit, I deal with why white people hate black people so much. You can find both of these books on Amazon. And together they come up to about 2,000 pages of information that will explain to you exactly what happened, how it happened, why it happened, and what my predictions were. And then, this is like 5 years ago when it first came out, and what I'm saying right now that is happening. So, with that being said, let's move on because we're coming up here. She said her people, the children, are the biggest criminal. I beg your pardon? Are the biggest criminals in the world. I'll be right back.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. I started to go live with this broadcast because I do enjoy sharing with you guys in the live broadcast. I love the interaction. It is great, and I may do that later on with another topic. I just chose to just go ahead and just pre-record this one and maybe do a live later. But these particular topics, they can get pretty involved, right? They can get pretty involved. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and just share with you what was shared with me. And, of course, I have a video clip I am going to share in this. You're going to hear what this young lady said. What she said was very interesting, okay? She made a statement that she can make, right? Can you call her anti for saying it, even though she is one of the quote-unquote chosen ones? She's saying it, right? You see what she said there, right? She said that her people are the biggest you-know-whats in the world. She said it. Anyway, I want you to take a listen at this video clip, and of course, you know, I will be right back with some additional commentary.
If you're hearing these words,
Hold on.
it's not a coincidence. Something powerful is moving it.
Do you know who I am? I speak on behalf of the Jewish people. My name is Anat Moad, and I'm from Israel. Have you heard of Israel? You have? Well, I hope you heard only good things. We in Israel believe in shooting ourselves in the foot. We don't waste any time. We do exactly everything upside down, because that way we can be special, God's chosen people. After we shot ourselves in the foot, we blame the Palestinians. Because to blame the Palestinians is a very special honor that only we get to do. Do you ever get to blame Palestinians for what you do, your crimes? It's much easier to go through life that way, trust me, especially when we are the biggest criminals in the world. Do you remember when we found King David Hotel a long time ago? No? Good, forget about that. Remember what we did to the flotilla to Gaza? You don't? Good. Good. Stay ignorant. It's good for us. And if you have, true leftist, how dare you be educated and know what's going on? Anyway, I wanted to tell you about my stupid, crazy sister. She refused to be a soldier. Huh? Is she crazy? Who am I refused to be a soldier? It's a good thing to die for a piece of land. But she refused to be a soldier without even one lie. And using the psychiatrist. I told you she's crazy. She used to go to the psychiatrist all the time in the army and cry and say, I don't want to be in the army. Well, and they used to make her wait for hours to see the psychiatrist. So she would be waiting in this hall room with usually 6 other men soldiers. And they would be crying and crying. And she'd tell them, why are you crying? And they tell her, we will never forgive ourselves for what we did. Like, what did you do? You were being a soldier fighting for a piece of land. What are you crying about? Anyway, then she tries to go and have lunch. When she went to have lunch, she can hear this sound from the lunch while she's eating her knedelach. Good food in the Israeli army, best food in the world. So she's eating her knedelach in her lunch, and she can hear, She thought there was a war going on. Who knows? Nuclear weapons. Sounded very weird, like creepy. So she goes outside, and what does she see? She saw 2,000 boys crying. But crying like a baby when you change their nappy and they're not in the mood for you. Like that. She never forgot that. Until this day, she says, there must be something bad going on that they're not telling us about. I say to her, what? She says, I don't know. Nobody knows. The boys wouldn't tell me. I'm in hell.
Okay, you heard it from her mouth to your ears. Now, I want to make a comparison here for people who say, well, this isn't right. This is the equivalent of a so-called black person seeing crimes that are happening within their community, and you say, why are our men or our women or our young people doing these kinds of things? This is not good for the community. Why are we doing these kind of things, right? That's what this is like. Now, you have certain groups of people who don't think anyone should be allowed to say anything about them at all, period, ever. But we are supposed to call out the things that happen within our communities. Is that what she's doing? Did y'all hear what she said? Now, here was a commandment given to the chosen people, whoever they are in the world. Didn't the Bible say for the chosen people that you are supposed to cry aloud, spare not, and lift up your voices like a trumpet in Zion and show your people their transgressions? That's one of the things that was said. So why is it that people get hot and bothered? There are groups of people who don't like you talking about their crimes at all. This young woman said that her people are the biggest criminals in the world. Really? Is she allowed to say that? Will she be slapped with that anti-symbol on her forehead or her hand for saying that? She didn't say one of the biggest. She said the biggest. Interesting choice of words. So what we see happening is, another thing she had pointed out is that you have a certain group of people who do things and blame others for it. So they deflect the attention away from them to other people. Is she allowed to say that? This is some interesting stuff, y'all. It's so much information coming at us so fast all day, every day. It is mind-blowing. While at the same time you have the world trying to paint so-called black folk like they are the worst of the worst everywhere. Is that by design? Is that by design? Absolutely it is. The accuser of the brethren goes before the Most High, day and night, trying to point the finger at you or I. But Yahushua HaMashiach, our advocate, goes as well to speak on our behalf. Anyway, what are your thoughts on what this young lady said? She said it. Is anyone surprised or not? Chop it up in the comment section. As always, keep it tight and keep it right, because certain topics are very heavily centered, because you can't say everything about everybody. You might be able to say whatever you want about Chinese folk. You might be able to say whatever you want about Latinos, about so-called black folk, but other folk in this world, you can't say whatever you want, because folks' feelings get hurt very easily. Ain't that something? Other people's feelings get hurt too, but they say just get over it. Anyway, I'm done with this video, y'all. Chop it up in the comment section.
All right, you heard it. I think it's kind of obvious as to who is who. Obvious. And the idea and the fact that black people are everywhere, as is indicated in this video, the African Chinese, the Japanese were originally darker skinned, like me and you, or forever who were watching this. That the truth is coming to light. I mean, there are three things you can't hide forever: the sun, the moon, and the truth. Hold on. Sorry about the noise. I can't do anything about that. Let's get at it.
好来，我目前在国内有18万人，上个当年就是乐化。
Hold on. There's noise going by. Hold on. Calm down, man. Hold on.
所以我们之所以能成长到今天，首先是我们的祖国和我们民族政策的成功，之所以我们就能走出大山。当然，作为我们走出大山的每一个瓦族人来说是不容易。首先有这种勇敢、这种思考，有这个思考以后呢，我们这种行动。
When we speak of the African diaspora, we often think of the Americas, the Caribbean, or Europe. But few know that Africa's story stretches even further east, deep into the mountains of China. Hidden in the borderlands of Yunnan province lives a people whose story challenges everything we think we know about race, migration, and identity. They are the Wa people, China's only officially recognized dark-skinned ethnic group. This is the story of the African Chinese, a forgotten branch of the African family tree. Long before global trade routes and colonial conquests, the Wa people lived in the highlands near the borders of Myanmar, Laos, and Yunnan. Their dark complexion, cultural symbolism, and oral traditions led some historians and anthropologists to connect them to ancient African migrations, a theory often overlooked in mainstream narratives. The Wa value the colors black and red. Black for the earth, red for life and spirit. These colors define their traditional dress, art, and even their view of the world. For centuries, they lived independently, guided by nature and tradition, people of the soil, of loyalty, and of pride. Long ago, the Wa practiced head rituals, acts that symbolized bravery, protection, and reverence for ancestors. Though seen as violent by outsiders, these rituals carried deep spiritual meaning, reflecting a belief that life and death were connected in the cycle of nature. Today, the relics of those rituals, wooden stakes and carvings, are preserved in museums, no longer as symbols of fear, but as heritage and memory. Their story intersects with recorded Chinese history during the Three Kingdoms period, nearly 1,700 years ago. A Chinese official named Che Liang introduced advanced farming techniques to the Hua, revolutionizing their way of life. In gratitude, the Hua swore a solemn oath to guard China's western frontier and remain loyal to the land that embraced them. It was more than a promise. It became part of their identity, and for over 17 centuries, they've kept that vow. In 1934, when the British Army invaded Hua territory, the tribes of the region faced a dire threat. But instead of surrendering, 17 Hua tribes came together, united by courage, pride, and heritage. They wrote a letter to their Chinese brothers and sisters declaring, "We will defend our homeland, even if it costs us our lives." It was an act of unity, a declaration of belonging, that proved once again that African spirit runs deeper than skin or borders. Today, the Hua people live mainly in Yunnan, still holding on to their traditions amid the modern world. They have their own language, music, and festivals, and their sense of identity remains unbroken. Though they are few in number, the Hua stand as a living bridge between Africa and Asia, between memory and modernity. Their resilience reflects something larger, the spirit of a diaspora that never stopped moving, evolving, and surviving. The story of the African Chinese reminds us that Africa's reach is vast, not just in geography, but in blood, culture, and soul. From the highlands of China to the shores of the Atlantic, Africa's heartbeat echoes across the world. The Hua people are proof that no matter how far we travel, Africa lives within us all. This is Africa Rise, telling the stories the world forgot. If you believe Africa's story deserves to be told, subscribe to Africa Rise on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. Visit the Africa Rise store to wear your African pride. Every purchase helps us tell more stories that we connect Africa with.
All right. So a little bit about China. China comes from, or gets its name from the first emperor of China, known as Qin, C-H-I-N. And if I remember correctly, the Z people and others played a significant role in the beginning of China, better known as the Negrito. And there was, and still is, that I covered in my book as well, in newspaper articles giving thanks to the Negrito for establishing the Chinese civilization. And then in Japan as well, as you know, those Chinese eye with slanted effect, or whatever the case may be, come from black people. We are everywhere and everybody. Don't ever get that twisted, and don't ever allow no one to tell you other than the truth. So now we're getting into white people. Boy, I tell you, if they ain't a hot mess, I don't know what is. I'll be right back.
Excuse me, what are you doing? No, I just saw you put that underneath her dress. Absolutely you did.
No, ma'am, I really wasn't.
You absolutely did.
Ma'am, I really wasn't. I know.
Then show me your phone.
Yes.
No, we're going to call security.
No, I really...
You absolutely did. And you were following me over in the children's section.
Because I have a sister who's pregnant. Ma'am, I really wasn't.
You've been extremely close to me this whole time. Please show me your phone.
No.
I really don't mean
Let's get security. Because this is absolutely wrong.
I really don't mean to.
No, you obviously did.
No, ma'am. Please, I really.
No, let's get security.
So since it's cool for all these Caucasians to hop online and talk about black fatigue, I decided to speak on some white fatigue. Now the clip I showed in the intro was one of my main reasons for having white fatigue. Did you know white males make up 31% of the population in America, but are 71% of the people that have child?
What?
You know what? Yes, I did a whole video on it. So I mean, it might just be in their DNA. But also, let me just show you.
It is in their DNA.
Let me go in there. Let me make sure nobody in here. Hello? See? I go, man. There goes. You know, this is the women's bathroom, right? Sorry. That's the women's bathroom. A man in the women's bathroom. That's why you gotta go in here with your kids. Let me make sure nobody else ain't in here. Let me make sure. So you gotta go in there with your kids. Make sure no man in the damn bathroom.
Now, another one of my concerns is that a lot of them are just very violent. And I don't want to base them off of their ancestors, but I mean, Caucasians, every place they went to, they slaughtered the people and conquered the land and then acted like it was theirs. Oh my goodness, who said that? But the past is in the past. Let me show you something in the present.
2.5 years that I did start rapping. Yes, go up fucking ass. You're not doing your fucking job, motherfucker. I had this shit for 20 fucking years. You cannot de-escalate shit because you're sucking your fucking job. De-escalate, you pussies. De-escalate. Well, we're amplifying your shut the fuck up, baldy cunt. You're talking to someone who has the PTSD or more combat force that we're special operations science degree degrees who doubled their fucking record on fucking enemy weapon caches, and you're challenging me. You guys call out a ditch. Get the fuck out of here. There's a tow truck and me. You have nothing to do with this. It's not a law enforcement issue.
I hate to be that guy, but if this was a black person, we all know what would have happened to him. He's on 10. He is definitely a threat to all the officers, but somehow he was not taken down. I'm not going to go too much in depth, but another reason I have white fatigue, they just be junkies.
Lock them up. Throw away the.
You got people stealing out of stores, being on milk, walking the streets high, man. What is going on with the white community? I'm not gonna lie, man. I just rage baited the fuck out of everybody watching this video. I don't have white fatigue. I just wanted to show y'all how easy it is to find a degenerate clip of any race and simply spread hate. A lot of these people with black fatigue just see the first viral video of a black degenerate doing something stupid and run with it. And I can literally do this for days, just finding clips on clips on clips of any race being degenerate, but that does not define the entire race. And we can literally do this with any race. Nobody is perfect. And if I'm being honest, man, in real life, I have great encounters with white people, bro. I have white friends. So if any of my Caucasian friends see this, I don't mean no harm. I was trolling, gang. Black people and white people get along just fine in America, and I'm going to show you all some clips.
What you're looking at is a UPS driver outside of a home in a suburb outside of Philadelphia. And as you can see, the back of his pants are soaking wet, and he does not have any shoes on. Now, if you're like me, you're probably thinking, what in the world is going on? How did he end up like this? And when he pulled up to the home, there was a group of teenagers celebrating a graduation. And what happened next was very unexpected. The kids had created a gigantic slip and slide, and they invited the UPS driver to join them on this slip and slide. And that's how I ended up like this. And this is dope to me, man. I just love seeing people show love to each other, just having a good time, vibing. They don't know each other. But, man, just great energy all around. And if you look at the media, you would think that we just all hate each other. And we don't. And stuff like this just proves it. And I just love this. Shout out to this family. Shout out to this UPS driver for just having such a good vibe and good spirit. And he's just going about his day. That was the best part of his day, I guarantee. And that's the best part of these teenagers' day as well.
had to throw in some positivity, man. But don't get it wrong, racism still runs deep in America. I hope y'all not too mad, man. I know the comments might go crazy if this video gets out there, so don't attack me and call me no slurs, man. But instead, I really want y'all to watch the video that Black Americans commit the most crimes. I think you'll like that.
Well, that can be debated, man, because we know from the history of man, white boys from the jump have been the most vicious. Breaking treaties, making treaties, breaking treaties. It is what it is. And the hate is real from these people. I will let this video determine all of that. Now you tell me who that is. I don't think I have to go into too much detail about that. So, hold on. We're wrapping it up. So, yeah. Now, you know what? I think I might have Elon follow me. I don't know. I doubt it. On X. But if you want to follow me on X, you can do so. Isaiah Israel 1515. Also on YouTube, the channel is called WMB of Lies and Deceit. where you can check out all of my previous shows. And let me see. Let me go here. I'm just gonna run through it right quick to see what is. Now there was a recent young black guy who was hanged from a tree and found in Alabama, all because crazy ass white folks getting all upset and they draws in a bunch of all up in their ass about Charlie Kirk. You see, the hate you spill will always come back to you. Don't worry about it. You think you got away with it, you think you're gonna do this, you think you're gonna do that. You're not gonna do a damn thing but get your ass whooped. That's it. Hold on. So make sure I do this. Yeah. The hell is that? Okay, so these were the video that my sons were looking at. Hold on. Please, a lot of noise. Okay, so I really want to try to, I think I made my point, white fatigue and what that is. I mean, it's a hot mess, man. I remember when the black community was going through the crack epidemic and white folks said, just say no, what's wrong about it? They'd laughing their asses off and all that shit. But it always come back around. Karma's a bitch, man. Now look at you drunk motherfucker. The worst users of SNAP welfare is white folks. 65, 70%. 90% of the people who are killing cops are white men. School shootings, shooting period, are white boys. These people are not men. They're blue boys and trapped in a man's body. They have no desire to do the right thing because they don't know what that is. I'm white and I say so is their MO, is their modus operandi, is their way of thinking. And that's played out. You live in a world where other people are. And you're the most hated motherfuckers on the goddamn planet. I don't know what to tell you. But the world is changing and the world is fading back to black, how it should be and must be. So, what I wanted to do lastly to look at my YouTube, not my X account, and here the world ought to know that it could not keep 400 million Negroes down forever. No. There is no God but the great God, the Moorish American government, the continental American territory, while the black Moors dressed like Arab, cutting people's heads off. You see, it wasn't all white versus black. The reason why we were sent into slavery was because of the black people in Portugal and Spain, the kings and queens. They had a mandate to get rid of the Jews there. And when I say Jews, you should automatically know these were black people. They took it upon themselves to steal the wealth of my ancestors. And they did. This was a black on black crime. This was no white folks doing anything. White people couldn't make a law, couldn't make a ship. What they considered to be a ship or a boat was a log on water. They had no education. They had nothing. We were in America 100,000 years ago. We were all over the world. Black folks were and still are. White people just got here some 3,000 years ago. 1,000 years ago, they just started speaking. So these are the things that need to be known, need to be stated, need to be shared. See this lady, the technology behind Zoom, Microsoft Teams, FaceTime, and WhatsApp was invented by Marion Croak. So all of these people who are considered themselves to be, excuse me, I want to sneeze, to be white. You're not white. You've been duped into believing that bullshit. You're not white. You're not Caucasian. You're not Aryan. You're not Anglo-Saxon. You're not European. You're a bunch of bleached out Negroes that come from Dravidian albinos from India. And the world doesn't have a race problem. It has a problem race. And race doesn't exist, but I'm going along with the flow. And this motherfucker here, when will somebody kill this motherfucker? He has been found guilty of war crimes and crimes against humanity. The fallout from that, the penalty of that, is death. Kill him. And everybody associated with him. So, oh yeah, that's a go perfect. Fuck Charlie Kirk, man. Hating this motherfucker. See, you can't do wrong and expect for right to come to you. It doesn't work that way. It don't. And this woman, Valentina Gomez, you better believe there's a bullet waiting on her of all the hate that she spills. It never fails, man. Don't do that. Don't. If you can't have a nice word for somebody, don't speak at all. And this jackass. Hold on, I'll play it.
I would try not to cry for my wife. Everything is going south. I want my wife to know I'm strong in that situation, and I can be. I don't have to cry. So I heard a guy say this. They said, when my father passes away, which everybody's parent is going to pass away, I'm not going to cry at his funeral. I don't want to cry at his funeral. I want my father to know that I'm strong enough.
Hold on, this is a good one.
Okay.
Wait. You won't cry in front of your wife, but you'll cry in front of millions of people for Charlie Kirk? Nigga, are you okay? That doesn't even make any sense.
No, it don't.
This tough guy facade gotta go, bro. It's so weird, man.
Wow. And this bitch here, man. I do not like people who are unjust. And they actually believe and lie and scheme and connive and try to paint over and paintbrush it into a heap of nothing. All of these Palestinians that are dying and being blown to bits and legs cut off or exploded off, or however you want to put it, is just beyond me. Hold on. This is another one. A whole family wiped out, man. And then this motherfucker wanted to keep shooting somebody that's already dead. These are some blooded motherfuckers, cold-blooded motherfuckers, man. And this stupid motherfucker here. I'm trying to find the one. Where was it? It's called, hold on, it'll come up in a minute. Hold on. I'll get to it. And then we'll be done. I'll make my final comment. And this lady was killed during the festival on, October the 7th or something like that. Palestinians didn't kill her. The Hannibal active, something like that. That Israel, the government, killed her. So the last thing I want to do is try to get the last one. It had something Gaza or something. What the hell? I don't want to keep going and don't get to it. Eye on Gaza. Okay, here we go. So this is just absolutely, utterly disgusting. Starving to death. Hold on. It'll come up. Then we'll close it out with the closing comment. An Israeli soldier posted a clip on his personal page of a family from Jabalia in northern Gaza who were kidnapped and their fate is unknown. They probably killed them all. Well, I tell you, God is just, and we have not forgotten, and we will not forget what you white motherfuckers are doing. Just not. We're not gonna understand. You're not gonna understand the hate that's gonna come back. That is coming back to you. Look at this young man, lost his leg. He wanted to play soccer when he got older. Now look at what he got. A damn shame, man. And these motherfuckers sucking the baby dick after getting or doing the circumcision. We don't do that shit. Real Jews don't do that shit. Now I know I got here. What right does these fake ass Jews got to do this to a baby? You know, it's worse. I've seen worse pictures, man. So I'm gonna end it and go. And just, if you got an extra account, go to Eye on Gaza, and you'll be able to see the horrific pictures that are coming out of Palestine. Here's another one losing their legs. She lost her life. Oh, boy. I tell you. Hold on, this might be one. The death of the innocent people. 500,000 people gone. All families wiped out. And it's because of this fake ass Jew boy and girl. Alright, so we're here at the end. I wanted to thank everybody that did come on and watch a little bit or all of it. I really appreciate what you do and what you've been able to do for the show. Come back and talk about this. And please subscribe and hit the bell so that you know when the next show will be. And it will be, and it always will be, on Saturday at 8 Eastern Standard Time and on Tuesday night at 8. So with that, I really appreciate you guys who are here, who stayed on and been able to, watch the show. I really appreciate that. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart. So with that being said, please share and like this video and let people know about our show on Tuesday night at 8 Eastern Standard Time and on Saturday night at 8 Eastern Standard Time. I appreciate it. God bless. And for the next 24/7, 365, stay black.